Hey guys, so Kyle just came out with this video um, about a bipartisan gun deal reach in the Senate. Um, Kyle is really pissing me off with this gun control nonsense, this gun control bullshit. Um, I'm going to debunk him in a minute, but just for the record, I want everybody to know this man has made me the critical thinker that I am about politics. He was my idol for a very, very long time. Huge, huge idol. He recently stopped being my idol. I wouldn't even call him an idol. Maybe that's not the right word, but I definitely I watched him every day. He was the only YouTuber who I watched every single day. Ever since his take on Biden sanctions with starving Afghanistan babies, he's rolled back against talking about real news. Um, not. I guess I shouldn't say that. I'm not saying he doesn't talk about real news. I'm saying he doesn't talk about news that's exposing the government anymore. I mean, here and there, but we haven't seen anything as big as the whole sanction thing with Biden in a while. Ever since then, he's been on a slippery slope. Um, and it almost kind of feels like he's been compromised. But a whole nother story there. We're gonna focus on his policy because that's what Kyle likes to talk about all the time is policy. So let's begin.
All right, y'all. So we have a new bipartisan gun reform bill that a framework was just agreed to in the Senate. So I'm
You guys ever notice how they only come for bipartisanship when they want to implement some serious authoritarianism on us?
going to break this down for you. Now, understand something. When they say a framework was agreed to, that means that all the details are not ironed out yet. And there's going to be some more give and take, some more push and pull, some more negotiation. And ultimately, this could totally flame out. But at least as of right now, understand that the House of Representatives just passed a piece of legislation. Recently, we covered that on the show. That legislation is considered DOA in the Senate. It's dead on arrival. So that legislation had some more provisions, some more teeth. It had different provisions. This one is even more of a Senate-like bill, which is to say, significantly weaker. So having said all that, let's dive into it. Chris Murphy was involved in these negotiations, and he said the following, on Twitter, "News, we have a deal. Today, a bipartisan group of 20 senators, 10 Democrats and 10 Republicans, is announcing a breakthrough agreement on gun violence, the first in 30 years, that will save lives. I think you'll be surprised at the scope of our framework. Here's what it includes. Major funding to help states pass and implement crisis intervention orders, that's red flag laws, that will allow law enforcement to temporarily take dangerous weapons away from people who pose a danger to others or themselves." Now, let me pause and let's talk about this one for a second here. The wording of this is very Weasley, which tells me, again, this provision doesn't have much teeth. They're not saying we will have a national red flag law. They're saying they're going to give major funding to help states pass and implement red flag laws. So in other words, they're just going to throw some money at the states with the hopes that they'll then turn around and use that money to do a red flag law. And ultimately, where will that money end up? Well, as Chris Murphy just explained, it will end up with law enforcement right here.
I just I love how we're over here talking about, oh well, we're not gonna have a national red flag law. Well, no, Kyle. We have this little thing called not only the Second Amendment, but it's called due process. Not that either of those things matter in this racist, decadent society, but the fact of the matter is we have it to the degree that we have it. And you're over here talking about taking guns away from people without due process. You do understand that, right? Like you do understand like threatening is against the law already. You do realize that when you threaten somebody with a gun, that is a crime and you should go to jail. And once you go to jail and do your time and do your probation, yeah, you should be able to get a gun. Like, that's my red flag law, is due process in the 14th Amendment.
Law enforcement. Okay. So far, not great. Because we're talking about, again, maybe we'll do red flag laws state by state if we give you a whole bunch of money. Then we have billions in new funding for mental health and school safety, including money for the national build out of community mental health clinics. Now, if that part is true, I completely support it. I do have a hard time believing, though, that we're going to have like universal mental health care, because we don't even have universal healthcare. So, hey, if I'm wrong, I'd be the happiest man.
I mean, if that's true, then that's the one thing that will definitely help tremendously with the gun violence. Mental health is a serious, serious issue in this country. Did you guys, I'm just curious, have any of you ever seen like the statistics of mental health within the jails and the state and federal prisons? We're talking about 45% of incarcerated people within jail have mental illness. 54% for on the federal level, and I think it was like 45 for the state level. I don't remember. I should link that in the description. But either way, like universal health care, not government funded health care. But I mean, we'll take what we can get right now, right? But universal health care, making sure that every man, woman, and child not only has health care, but mental health care would do a lot because we need it in this country, especially during this time.
On the planet, but color me skeptical. I tend to doubt it. Close the boyfriend loophole so that no domestic abuser, a spouse, or a dangerous dating partner can buy a gun if they are convicted of abuse against their partner. That's obviously good. First ever federal law against gun trafficking and straw purchasing. This will be a difference-making tool to stop the flow of illegal guns into cities. Enhanced background checks for under 21 gun bot.
84, what was it? I think 80 or 84% of criminals caught with weapons, they were not the original owners.
And a short pause to conduct the check. Young buyers can get the gun only after the enhanced check is complete. So, if they're saying enhanced checks for people under 21, that means it's still legal in some states for 18 to 21-year-olds to get guns, and that also means the background checks are not universal in nature and not more stringent in nature for everybody. Then he says, clarification on the laws regarding who needs to register as a licensed gun dealer to make sure all truly commercial sellers are doing background checks. Will this bill do everything we need to end our nation's gun violence epidemic? No. But it's real, meaningful progress, and it breaks down a 30-year logjam, demonstrating that Democrats and Republicans can work together in a way that truly saves lives. And then he basically tags everybody who's involved in the negotiations. We have John Cornyn, Kirsten Sinema, Tom Tillis, Senator Toomey, Manchin, Blumenthal, Collins, Graham, Coons, Heinrich, and Bill Cassidy. And he says, drafting this law and passing it through both chambers will not be easy. We have a long way to go before this gets to the president's desk. But with your help and activism, we can get this done. This time, failure cannot be an option. So, that's what's in the legislation. As you can see, the prediction that I made about this turned out to be totally correct. Because again, this is just the framework. This isn't the final thing. But even if this was the final thing, it's exactly what I told you, which is like they'll do some tweaks around the edges. They're very, very minimal, and then they'll declare victory. And then what would happen is the next time there's a mass shooting, they would all say, look, there's nothing we could do. We already had a bill. And
can we also talk about how all of this bullshit is about shootings, gun deaths that are less than 1% of all gun deaths? Like mass shootings are less than 1% of the gun deaths. And while that's the case, think about this. Over 90% of mass shootings happen in gun-free zones. Imagine that.
the right would say, see, gun control doesn't even work because you did gun control and now there's still shooting. So, we were right all along. That's
Oh, I can't wait to debunk this part.
the way this is probably going to unfold. Now, let me tell you what is not in the bill, because I think this is
never mind.
just as important, if not more important.
I guess he's not going to debunk that.
Here, they say, there's no ban on semi-automatic weapons.
Good.
There's no ban on high-capacity magazines.
Good.
The House version of the bill, it's a different gun control bill, but that House version.
Look at this. No 21 minimum age to buy. And why are they going after like one rifle specifically? Like this is what happens when you bring emotion into policy. Because you're talking about banning 21-year-olds from getting an AR-15, but then that same but then an 18-year-old can get a rifle that's chambered in the same caliber. And I mean, like, yo, like, if Kyle Kulinski just took 5 minutes to understand how calibers and how guns work, he would understand how silly this is. Like, dude, I don't. Only gun rights advocates understand why I'm so frustrated right now, because that's not how that works. You ban the AR-15, and now all you have to do is get another semi-automatic that's chambered in the same caliber or the same size bullet. For those of you who don't know what that is, the same size bullet. That's not how that works. And what is it? No safe storage rules at homes. Yeah. Let me wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, half asleep. Somebody's trying to get in my house. Somebody's trying to kill me. Yeah, let me try and remember my lock. let me try and make sure to remember my lock. I remember the safety code for my lock. I get my gun out, right? Oh wait, I'm not allowed to have it loaded, or I'm not allowed to have my attachments on. So now I have to load it up. Can't even have fucking bullets in it. I have to load it up. Then I can put my clip in my gun. Then I can put my attachments on, and then I can fire. Because that doesn't sound illogical at all, right? By the time you're done doing whatever it is you're doing, you're dead, or you're raped, or you're robbed. This is the illogical, emotional arguments that gun control advocates are making. And it's really, even though I'm angry and frustrated, I'm still talking policy with you guys. But trust me, we're going to get much more into the nitty gritty.
Did have a ban on high-capacity magazines. The Senate version, of course, does not. No 21 minimum age to buy AR-15 style rifles. No universal background checks. No safe storage rules at homes. No requiring background checks on internet sales and at gun shows. No banning family members purchasing weapons for their kids. So this is what did not make it into the bill, and as you can see in this article here, they say bipartisan Senate deal on guns deemed pathetically weak. Quote, this bill's a joke. This makes it sound like mental health is the cause for gun violence. It's the fucking gun.
More like pathetically authoritarian.
Okay. So there you go. Now, what's likely to happen now is you will have more negotiation, more back and forth. Even the provisions of this already watered down bill will get more and more watered down. Then they'll try to pass it. It may or may not pass. And then if it does pass, I think the House of Representatives on the left would say, look, this is the best we're going to get, and this is fine. But here's what nobody's telling you. Nobody's telling you that the Democrats could, they don't even need to eliminate the filibuster, which would be awesome, because then 51 votes would win for whatever. They could just make an exception to the filibuster on this issue and pass better gun reform with 51 votes. Now, of course, in that instance, you run into the brick wall of Manchin.
Why are we hoping that the Democrats do something when they haven't done anything since like 1968? The Reformation that this guy loves talking about is so like Theoryland based. It's not even funny. What incentive would either party have to getting rid of the filibuster when both of them have no problem using the filibuster when it fits their narrative? That shit's not going to happen. Are you insane? The system is structured. These parties are not here to serve me and you. They're here to serve the top 1%. They're here to serve the people within the institution that creates the U.S. government. So this idea, they're not going to get rid of the filibuster. That's Dairyland. That's Dairyland. That's insane.
Cinema, and so whatever you would pass would have to get through them. But you could definitely get more through them than you can with trying desperately to get 10 Republicans on board. So even though you would still have probably a relatively weak law, you would have a law that's much stronger than this framework, which is going to get watered down even further. So yet again, this is another example of Democrats, even as they hold the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the presidency, they're really not going to get anything serious done. And like I said, even if this does get completed and does become law, the next time there's a shooting, the Republicans are going to turn around and say, see, gun control didn't work. We did gun control and it didn't work. And it also takes the wind out of the sails of the movement. Now, understand something, guys. This is an issue where I would be willing to compromise. But
the rest of us don't want to compromise with you. We don't want to compromise with gun control advocates because what you guys are advocating for is, are you ready? Authoritarian. You call yourself a left libertarian and that this is the left libertarian position. Oh no, I'm sorry. He says it's the moderate position. Okay, Kyle, let me explain something to you. Let me explain something to you in full. Just because something is moderate or center does not make it right. We're talking about policy that gets rid of guns from law-abiding citizens that are going to make law-abiding citizens felons overnight. Because you guys want to use your emotion and your fee-fees and try and tell me what I can and cannot own. I don't give a damn about your feelings, Kyle. You want to know what I give a damn about? What the data shows. And guess what the CDC said, Kyle? Guess what the U.S. Department of Justice said, Kyle? Guess what the FBI said, Kyle? Guess what the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics have said, Kyle? That potentially millions of lives, 1 million to millions of lives, are saved annually by guns. They did a study on the Brady Bill to see if it worked or not. And guess what happened, guys? They determined that no, waiting periods don't actually stop crime. You're asking for background checks. You're asking for raising the age to 21. No. If you are a libertarian, you understand, especially if you're a leftist, a left libertarian, you understand that it's not the gun that's dangerous, it's the person behind it that's dangerous. And even Huey P. Newton said that it takes the power of the barrel of a gun to peacefully assemble